Suddenly, a blue lightning struck the man's spaceship. As the man slowly looked up, he saw 3 divine messengers descending from the sky. They claimed to be messengers of God. They handed over this mighty weapon to the man. The man took the weapon and felt his whole body filled with power. He quickly attacked the 3 divine messengers. Surprisingly, the messengers had strong power. He made the man hold this weapon bestowed upon him by God, and then dominate Mars. Hearing this, the man was incredibly excited. After all these centuries, the kingdom of Zodanga he ruled had already occupied more than half of this planet. At this moment, he added the weapon that God had given him. He swept through one resistance alliance after another. Another powerful resistance kingdom called Helium existed outside of his rule. The strength of the Helium kingdom was also not to be underestimated. The girl in front of him was the princess of Kingdom of Helium. Today, she would present her great invention to his father. She was excitedly rehearsing her words in her mind. Suddenly, the palace door was opened. It was his father returning from battle. Having seen the power of the new weapons of the Kingdom of Zodanga, by now they totally lost their confidence at all. They foresaw the kingdom's demise. Princess spoke now. He showed her research. Emitting a faint blue light which was just the power of God, 9th ray. Whoever mastering the rays could even rival the gods. Its boundless power could even turn deserts into oceans. But, unnoticed by all, someone lingered unnoticed behind them. Only to see him quietly approaching and then gently touching the princess's research with his hand. The machine of the princess was instantly destroyed. The king saw the deeply let down princess. So he asked all the ministers to leave. The man who wrecked the princess's machine, at this moment had become a divine messenger. The king told the princess his decision. To agree to the Zodanga's king's request for a political marriage alliance. He wanted to turn the centuries-long enemies into friends. The princess was furious, unwilling to marry someone raised to despise her. However, for the sake of his people, the father gave the princess a final ultimatum. But what he didn't know, all of this was God's plan. He made the king of Zodanga kill his own bride on their wedding night, and then launched an attack to annex the entire kingdom of Helium. Because in God's eyes, all of this was just the fate of humans. However, one day when a human named Carter appeared, God sent a divine messenger to Earth to track Carter. And in the next second, news of Carter's death spread. Carter left a will asking his nephew to inherit his legacy. He also left his nephew a journal. Over a decade ago, one day, Carter suddenly discovered mountains of gold while exploring. But, in the next moment, a divine messenger appeared. He initially planned to kill Carter, but Carter evaded all his attacks. When readying to launch another attack, he was shot dead by Carter. The messenger was holding a mysterious symbol stone in his hand. Curiously, Carter approached to check, but the divine messenger's incantation had finished chanting. Carter happened to receive the symbol stone from his hand. In the next second, the symbol stone suddenly burst into blue light. It space-transported Carter. When Carter regained his senses, he realized that he was now in a strange world. It was incredibly barren here, with yellow everywhere. He saw as if there was light in the distance, so he wanted to go and check it out. As he stepped, he flew up. He felt a bit confused and his body weight was just like a bird. He seemed to possess a superpower. He lay on the ground, pondered briefly, then stayed grounded, taking cautious steps. But once he left, he tripped and fell. He got angry, picked up a stone and threw it. The stone flew several km suddenly. This seemed to have enlightened Carter. He slowly began to jump around. With one leap, he flew tens of meters. Before long, he ran a few miles away. He reached a small mound to find the light source he had seen. He heard some movement beneath the mound. So he looked down and found that it was filled with unknown eggs of various sizes. And the eggs were hatching slowly. The eggshells cracked to open, revealing tiny creatures with 2 sharp fangs. Carter felt a tingling sensation on his scalp. At this moment, a group of unknown creatures were rapidly running towards him not far away. A spear suddenly struck Carter. Carter quickly jumped and flew up. This move completely confused the aliens. Currently, the aliens were still getting ready to eliminate Carter. Surprisingly, their leader faced Carter. He ordered everyone to stop attacking. Then, they dispersed and surrounded the entire mountain. He slowly approached Carter. He befriended Carter and requested Carter to jump once more. Because for them, this was a very useful and powerful skill. In that moment, Carter finally understood. He leaped and arrived next to the alien leader's weapon. Then he picked up the weapon and prepared to attack the leader who saved him. But at this moment, one alien aimed his gun directly at Carter. Carter was captured, and they took Carter and the newly hatched little aliens back with them. This was the Barsoom native Thark's nursery room. Currently, a human was being treated like a cub, covered in mud. The body hair was shaved and tossed in the bathtub for cleaning. Lime was sprinkled for disinfection after completion. This is the Thark's baby powder. Then, a giant pacifier was taken out and they were each fed with the Thark's unique infant milk. Carter felt dizzy after drinking it. But miraculously, he could understand the Thark's language. At night, Carter woke up. Several Thark babies peacefully rested in his arms. Carter moved his body and pushed aside some infants. But at this moment a terrifying monster heard the sound and suddenly walked in. Its big mouth and sharp teeth were enough to devour everything. At this point Carter panicked and quickly applied the lever principle that humans comprehended. He easily broke the two rough iron chains that were tied to his hands. He bypassed the monster and leaped up, attempting to flee. When he landed and turned, he discovered the monster had already appeared. Carter was incredulous. He looked back at the long staircase. It turned out the monster was the Thark's pet named Ula, who was in charge of cub care. It was preparing to push Carter back. Carter then jumped up quickly. But Ula was already waiting ahead again. Carter, helpless, could only jump and run once more. However, Ula could accurately track Carter time and time again. Carter seized the chance and leaped up, jumping onto a high tower. At this moment a large group of Tharks were gathering here to revel. Ula still believed naively, chasing after Carter and squatting in front of him. Carter feared exposure and was ready to flee. But Ula, because it bumped into someone, was then surrounded and attacked. So Carter hesitated to leave and he jumped down. In the chaos, he unexpectedly punched and killed a Thark warrior. This made the Thark leader feel incredulous. So a group of Tharks all surround him. They then started punching and kicking Carter. And Ula licked the wounds for Carter. The day after, Carter was tied to the frame. The burning hot iron hook was taken out of the fire pit. And it fell directly on Sola's body. Yesterday, when Thark babies were returned, it was discovered that all the Thark women could adopt one to be their child. But in the scramble, Sola became the target because of her unknown identity. Often seen as a shame for the Tharks. Just as she was about to get a Thark baby of her own, another Thark woman stepped directly on her hand. Then she was kicked away by this Thark woman. Just as this Thark woman was preparing to attack her again, the leader suddenly spoke, showing mercy beyond the law, allowing Sola to adopt a baby of her own. However, this dominant Thark woman went directly to Carter's side, and then picked him up and threw him to Sola. Therefore, she became Carter's guardian on Barsoom. If Carter made any mistake, the guardian must be punished for him. But Sola's body was full of wounds. If she made another mistake, execution awaits her. They freed Carter's chains, allowing Carter to display his jumping skill in public. However, at this moment the Sentinel spotted combat airships approaching in the sky. The nearby Tharks had no choice but to hide first. 3 Zodanga airships were currently chasing a helium airship.